In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawatch First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councillor Gramlich,
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried. Okay, we'll get right into reports and new business. Darcy, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Tonight, I'm just presenting the first round of 2025 FCSS external community grants. So we had 2 grant applications received. Both are eligible for FCSS funding. So the Lesser Slave Lake Firefighter Society applied for $3,500 for a volunteer recognition barbecue. And this is to recognize their volunteers both with the fire department and with SAR. And it'll serve as a way to retain volunteers and possibly recruit new volunteers. And the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Arts Council applied for $1,800 for their Earth, Art, and Soul weekend. The 3-day weekend focuses on arts and mental health, and the sessions are hosted by volunteers over the weekend. And so my recommendation is to approve both the Lesser Slave Lake Firefighter Society for $3,500 and the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Arts Council for $1,800, as they both are compliant under the FCSS regulations.
Councillor Adams.
Sure, I'll just ask a quick question. With this funding, is this the one that the province matches or to a certain extent where we fund part and they fund the rest?
This is right out of our 80-20. So it's out of our general budget with the 80-20.
Right. Okay. No, I was just wondering if it was part of that matching piece.
Councillor Choba.
I'd like to move that council approves $5,300 in external community grants FCSS funds for spring 2025 as follows. Lesser Slave Lake Firefighter Society, $3,500. Volunteer Appreciation Barbecue, Lesser Slave Lake Regional Arts Council, $1,800. Earth, Art, and Soul for a total of $5,300.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. And for IT, can we turn the volume down maybe a little bit? It's echoing quite badly when multiple mics are on. If we can take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darcy. Okay, we'll continue right along. Can we, service levels for parks and playgrounds? Calvin, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today I brought forward a report to Council for the service levels of parks and playgrounds. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with information on the service levels of parks and playgrounds. Some background, the mowing service level standards are clearly identified in the green space maintenance service contract that the town has entered with their contractors. There are essentially 4 separate service levels: sports fields, high priority areas, which is 7 to 10 days, medium priority areas, 10 to 20 days, and low priority areas, which is once a month. Fire Smart crews have identified areas where they maintain the grass, primarily in roadside ditches. This is done through other prescribed burns or mowing and is considered as a separate service than what is provided by the contractor. For parks and playgrounds, parks are checked between 3 and 5 times per week for garbage, maintenance, and any other concerns such as vandalism. This includes the 4 quadrant parks, 4 pocket parks, ball fields at Sinclair and Charity Parks, and the downtown area. As crews identify repairs required in playgrounds, they are to be completed by the MRC Parks crew in a timely manner. One of the greatest challenges with playgrounds is sourcing parts for repairs, often requiring custom orders as manufacturers regularly change their products. Further, once every 2 years, the town carries out an external playground inspection, hiring a consultant to provide a report as to the playground in relation to the playground safety and compliance with CSA standards. Any deficiencies noted are handled by the town crews to either repair or remove these components from service. The last playground audit was carried out in 2024. Multiple repairs have been done from 24 inspection, and 2026 inspection will be done next year. In addition to the playground repairs, crews are also to monitor and do the following: removal of grass and debris from all fall protection surface, ensure the distribution of sand and material to maintain fall protection under and adjacent to the playground equipment. Keep trees trimmed around park areas, ensure the spray parks at Schurter Park and Hill to Even are working correctly. Make sure the washrooms at Hill to Even are cleaned and supplies are full. Ensure the features at skate park, tennis court, and outdoor rinks appear to be safe and maintained. Preventative maintenance is planned and implemented in all park spaces. This can include staining wood, parks equipment, ensuring furniture is in good repair, timely removal of graffiti, monitoring fencing, etc. Trails are monitored for vandalism, general repair, and tree trimming. Garbage cans are emptied as trails are checked. Flowers are prepped and planted. Hanging baskets are a partnership with the Connects Club. Other flower planters are completely the town's responsibility. Once flowers are planted, they are watered and fertilized 2 to 3 times per week, depending on the weather. Tree planting plans are established annually, depending on budget considerations and availability of trees. Focus is filling in gaps in high-profile areas, especially areas where trees have been removed. The current focus remains on Main Street, downtown, and we're working with a landscape consultant on a plan for Hill to Even, along with other parks and green spaces. Tree trimming occurs throughout the year with MRC Parks crew carrying out small trimming and pruning as needed and identified. More complex trimming and pruning and large tree removal is contracted to certified arborist. Capital projects upcoming that are identified through the capital plan in 2025 include Hill to Even parking lot paving, which is almost completed, I think, today. Paving of interior of Hill to Even to be able to maximize and utilize the facility. Some lines will be painted once needs are assessed. Tree planting grant has been applied for and awaiting a decision. The tree planting design, layout was done with a consultant prior to the application. We are currently planning lighting on the trails with the contractor for Hill to Even trails. Hopefully we'll have them installed in 2025. Existing wood park signs will be removed and replaced with steel frames and acrylic composite material. Signs have been fabricated and we're working with contractors for installation. This is to be completed this year. Some additional benches will be added along Ellery trails as well. Assessment is ongoing to finalize final locations. Discussion, any resident complaints about grass mowing should be reported to the parks and facilities manager, myself, who will then coordinate with the contractor to have the concern resolved. All other complaints will be handled by town crews. We have been noticing more vandalism and damages to our facilities recently, so we will be putting out some extra communication regarding this on our social media platform. Resource impacts, no resource impacts at this time, no policy impacts. Communication strategy, as I mentioned previously, will be put out for the vandalism happening. Relation to strategic planning, mission statement, vision statement, ongoing effort to maintain high level of service to keep our park and playgrounds with the goal of making it more inviting to the residents. Recommendation to council. Administration recommends that council accept this report as information.
Councillor Adams?
Move that council accept the report as information.
And I have 2 questions, so I'll.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that under, obviously, this service level carries over from year to year, since all the vacant lots would be sold in Fournier at this point. It's listed under mowing under low priority. So if we can just make sure that, I assume that the contracts are updated, that we're not sending
Yep.
people to mow the lots. They've been
Yeah.
sold at this point in time.
Yeah, that's.
And then I was wondering if you wanted to touch on some of the damage with regards to the Hill to Even restroom, what that's costing, what we're looking at.
So we started
we
the
know.
year, we opened the washrooms on a Friday. By Saturday evening, we had to decommission them because somebody filled the washrooms with rocks. So there's grinder pumps in the toilets and the rocks don't go through it very well. So $2,000 later for a pump, we got them both going. Opened them back up again on the Friday again. By the Saturday night, one of them was full of rocks again. So we're working with a plumber to tear it apart. Hopefully we don't have to replace the pump on that one. Steps we're going to take to try and rectify that is get rid of the rocks around the C-can. We've looked back in video and It's hard to tell where they're getting the rocks from, as petty as it seems, but it's creating a big issue. So we'll remove the rocks, put grass down around the sea can and see if that rectifies the problem.
So we're several $1,000s into
Yeah,
the restrooms.
and probably
do-
3 weeks in.
And we do have cameras, obviously, on the outside of the
Yeah.
facility. I did see some comments online just saying that we should have cameras, which we do, and then some comments about hiring security, but as we've all experienced, how much security firms cost to monitor
Mhm.
anything. So that's just considerations that are going out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all for questions for me. Any further discussion from council? All right, call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Thanks, Calvin. Okay, Joe. Community Service Department Policy Revisions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am before you again to discuss revisions and new policy for the department to improve existing policy and introduce some new policy for the MRC and NLAC to improve safety of patrons and staff. A quick background to outline in the development implementation, 2 updated policies replacing current existing policy and the creation of 1 new one in accordance with direction and discussion with the CAO. Excuse me. So revisions to and updates to the user fee and allocation policy from 2024 and the alcohol management policy from 2018 and the development of the new recreation center user code of conduct policy. Any additions to the current policy are noted and highlighted in yellow in the materials that were attached to this document. So the user fee and allocation policy, the current policy was last updated in the spring last year when user fee rates were updated, but no changes were made to the allocation portion of the policy. The attached user fee and facility policy aims to improve and enhance the framework of the existing policy by improving and clarifying and improving the consistency of policy execution through clear booking allocation priorities, dispute resolution mechanisms, insurance requirements, and expanded definitions. This updated policy strives to ensure greater transparency, fairness, and efficiency in how town facilities are accessed, booked, and used by all community, regional, and out-of-town individuals and groups. The alcohol management policy, though approved in 2018, it does form the basis of the revised policy document that was attached, and it was revised to improve and update the guidelines and expectations of permit holders. As mentioned when I was last presenting before you for round 1, the Rec Center Code of Conduct policy has been introduced in Western Canada by a number of municipalities to deal with increased issues in user behavior, and directly also adds some pieces that aren't covered in our general expectations of users in town spaces. The policy also addresses and approves and defines the existing policy in some areas of acceptable behavior and dress. So again, these policies are presented for approval to enhance clarity, consistency, and fairness. And a great deal of time was spent to try and ensure that that clarity was provided in them, easy to read, easy to understand, and that they were fair and equitable to both staff as well as users in the community. And then once approved, a communication strategy is stated, will be shared with affected and involved user groups, posted on the town website, shared in announcements on social media. So.
Thanks for making the changes we had talked about there. I find it reads a lot smoother than it did. I appreciate the effort to not have those inconsistencies that were in there, and also bringing it into the tying all the policies together into that conflict resolution piece, I think was really good, and clarification on that code of conduct piece. No, good. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Adams.
Thanks. I'd like to move to approve the alcohol management policy as presented.
Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor. And that is carried. Councilor Adams.
Move to approve the user fee and facility allocation policy as presented.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Counselor Hughes.
Still backwards here. I move to approve the rec center user code of conduct policy as presented.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. Sorry, having mic issues with feedback still. And that is carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any no
And
questions?
then next up, we have the Town of Slave Lake Fleet. Alex.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this report is to bring to your attention the need for another fleet vehicle and to request the approval of the purchase of the vehicle. The administration has identified the need for a new vehicle, utility vehicle per se, so an SUV, not a pickup truck, moving people around, using it for meetings and things like that. We did reach out to all three dealerships in the town of Slave Lake and receive pricing back in the $65,000 range. So we are looking for approval of up to $65,000, including GST. Funded from the future expenditure reserve. And that would be option one, to approve that. Second one would be to direct administration to explore alternative options or to decline the purchase altogether.
Counselor Hughes.
Just point of clarification, our report says excluding GST. That's correct, right?
Yeah, so we when we're making purchases for capital purchases, we don't include GST because we receive that back.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I thought you said including.
Oh,
In
sorry.
your reading, I just wanted to clarify that this was correct.
No, yeah, excluding GST.
Counselor Adams.
Move that council approves the purchase of a new fleet vehicle up to $65,000 excluding GST to be funded from future expenditure reserve, which has a current balance of $698,271.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Next up, we have the Truth and Reconciliation and National Indigenous Peoples' Day update. Ashley.
Good evening, your mayor and council. The purpose of this report is to provide council with an update of the town of Slave Lake's ongoing efforts to recognize and support both National Indigenous Peoples' Day in June and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in September. This report outlines current and planned initiatives as well as collaborative efforts with the local Indigenous partners in alignment with the town's commitment to reconciliation and cultural awareness. So a bit of background, the town of Slave Lake has demonstrated history on engaging in initiatives and partnerships that support truth and reconciliation. In alignment with the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, the town continues to take meaningful steps towards fulfilling its duties, its due diligence in response to the 94 calls to action. Historically, the town has organized and participated in a range of educational and collaborative activities with local Indigenous communities. Notably, the town hosted a chorus blanket exercise for staff, inviting participation from local Indigenous groups to foster a deeper understanding of the legacy and ongoing impact of residential schools. In the following year, the town partnered with Métis District 21 in the Lesser Slave Lake area to support the unveiling of the Truth and Reconciliation Monument, Pitiote Nikanak, Coming Home, located in the town courtyard. During this time, the town also provided logistical support and planning resources for a second blanket exercise held at the MRC Fieldhouse, facilitated by Métis District 21. In June 2023, to mark National Indigenous Peoples' Day, the town's social committee hosted a lunch and learn session with a Métis leader to share insight on the Métis culture and traditions. Later that year, in recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Week in September, a staff-led workshop was held to teach traditional Indigenous beading techniques through a beaded earring class. Additionally, the Human Resources Department coordinated mandatory virtual Indigenous awareness training for all town staff, further supporting the goal of increasing culture, understanding, and sensitivity regarding Indigenous history and issues within Alberta. These efforts reflect the town of Slave Lake's ongoing commitment to reconciliation, education, and respectful collaboration with Indigenous communities. At present, the town of Slave Lake has initiated dialogue with regional Indigenous organizations to explore opportunities for collaboration and support related to upcoming events in in recognition of National Indigenous Peoples Day, June, and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, September. The town is committed to dedicating time and available resources to assist with these initiatives, with the goal of strengthening relationships with Métis District 1, Sawridge First Nation, and the Native Friendship Center. While formal plans are still under development, preliminary conversations have taken place, and there is a mutual agreement for the town to participate in the planning process. These early engagements reflect the town's ongoing commitment to fostering meaningful partnerships, supporting community-led efforts towards reconciliation and cultural celebration. Options before you tonight are just to accept this report of information, and if you have any other questions. Resources impacts would be staff for volunteering and planning of events alongside the region's Indigenous groups. Our communication strategy would be to share and inform town residents of the town's plans and commitment to Indigenous partnerships. This relates to our mission and vision. Taking these steps will contribute to strengthening the town's relationships with local Indigenous communities and fostering a deeper understanding of the experience, history, and cultural heritage of Indigenous residents. Any questions?
Counselor Adams.
I got a couple around, we mentioned the training that goes on in there, though, and from what I understand, the calls of action is a reference to United Nations, UNDRIP. I'm not sure what it all stands for. Do we tie that in at all? Because that was one of the things that's recommended out of it. And I know we didn't 2 years ago.
Sorry, can you just ask that question again?
So United Nations Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples. That piece, that's in call 57.
Yes.
I'm wondering if we're expanding our training to include that, or
I can't recall from last year, but we do go over like the calls to action, kind of what truth and reconciliation means. I can definitely relay this to if I believe we are planning training for Truth and Reconciliation Day, so I can ensure that that is incorporated and expanded on this year. I can't speak to past, like I can't recall exactly,
Okay.
but
if we could look into that, that's great. The other piece is more of a question. Under Truth and Reconciliation Day, what's the town policy as far as working on that day? Do we give that day off with pay, or do we work it?
We do take it off and follow the federal government. So any stat holidays or, days of reflection, we follow what the federal government does.
Okay.
Counselor Gramlich.
Motion to accept the report as information.
Any further discussion, Counselor Adams? Okay.
I just wanted to, so Counselor Adams, are you just, I just wanted to hone in on what you're kind of asking for here. For the calls to action, are you just saying that you hope the town of Slave Lake takes the direction to address those in any in-house training in the future? That's what you're looking for, yes? Okay, I just wanted to circle back to that. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Counselor Adams.
Okay, well, one more thing I was wondering is our HR department and our hiring policies. Do we work that into it as well with the call to action 92, where we're making it more aware and promoting that out to the Indigenous peoples?
I don't want to speak on behalf of HR. I can definitely get you some more concrete information, but I don't believe like it's part of like our formal orientation process. If that's something that council's wanting us to explore, I don't know if are you meaning?
Well, the thing that I'd like us to explore is that we are moving forward on these calls to action. I know we're a government body, things move slow, but it seems slow. And I'm wondering what we can do to continue this moving forward, not lose momentum that we've built up. I think we've achieved a lot in the 3 years, but I'd like us to continue growing down that path and assessing ourselves.
I was just going to comment to that. To be fair, though, I don't think we provided very specific instruction, to your point, to the town. So I think if you're looking to see something specific, you need to be clear on what that is.
But our direction originally was to assess against the neat calls to action where we are and how we're going to achieve those calls to action going forward. That was us 3 years ago or 2 years ago that we did that. And I know we've made strides to move forward in some of this, partnerships being a big one, communication. the monument that came forward here, the one we're talking about in other areas, like, I think this is a good piece going forward. I just don't want us to lose that momentum is all I'm getting at, and to continue reassess where we're at and where we are in meeting those calls to action.
No, that's fine. Just checking any further discussion on that. I will add that it has progressed significantly over the last 3-ish years. We have our land acknowledgement. We obviously have the flags behind us. The land acknowledgement is also up in all of the facilities. Any council-led meetings also generally start with that. So what I would ask, though, there'll be a motion to accept the report as information is on there. We'll go from there, but maybe to take a look with regards to the management task list. We need to identify what department this falls under and more specific things than here are calls to action. Good luck.
And I think too, depending on what you guys want to task us with, but I almost think it's like a shared effort of truth and reconciliation. I think it's almost going to be a partnership with every department, depending if how we're engaging in events, might be more community services. If we're doing staff training, it might be more HR led. So it might be something that is a task to, a general administration, and then everyone should play a part in it.
Absolutely. I agree. It should be organization wide. I just find when council says, hey, we should follow the
Yeah.
calls to truth and reconciliation, we should follow the calls to action, that we need to kind of identify a more specific, okay, we're going to have a review of what we've done, and maybe some suggestions with regards to what we would like the town to pursue, because we can say we can pursue all the calls to action, but perhaps a shorter list and a timeline of what would be an appropriate next step. So maybe we can add that in management task list. Alex?
So I was just going to add, we'll add it to our senior leadership meeting for this week, and we'll start to plan a report for where we're at and what's next steps, and then we can bring that back.
Yeah, it would be great to see. We want to work on everything at all times, but I think that's unreasonable. So if we can have some specific items that administration has identified to move forward, I think that would be appropriate. And Councillor Adams highlighted a couple of them. So there was a motion on the floor to accept his information. Any further discussion on that? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Thank you, Ashley. And then we have Alex, next report, council meeting schedule.
Thanks again, Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this report is to amend the council meeting schedule. So council meetings are scheduled at the annual organizational meeting of council. The Town of Slave Lake Council schedule has a proposed adjustment. As a good practice, administration is bringing back the 2024-2025 schedule to accept as amended. Administration is providing the updated council meeting schedule with the amendment for the next regular meeting of council to take place on June 24th, 2025 at 6 p.m. instead of June 17th, 2025. So we'd be moving next week's meeting to the 24th of June at 6 p.m. Any questions?
Councillor Choba?
I move to accept the 2024-2025 meeting schedule as amended and move the June 17, 2025 regular meeting of council to June 24th, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And can I get admin to turn off the mic in the center? Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, we're having some feedback issues here. It's pretty bad. So that's okay. Let's move on to the CAO update then.
Once again, thank you. Here to present the CAO update for June. So we'll start with planning and development. Still working on the municipal development plan and land use bylaw. There was a public open house held last night to present the final draft of the documents. There was only a couple of residents that attended, similar conversations which had taken place previously. As well as many permits, we're starting to see some development permits come in, and there's already construction taking place in Fournier Place. There has been 3 special events permits that have been approved since April, with 3 more currently under review for events scheduled in July, and 3 food truck permits have been issued for the 2025 season. In human resources, we have been filling some jobs that have been posted. We have some more jobs currently posted. There's 3 of them out right now. In the Indigenous relations, communications with the Indigenous groups in the area have been initiated for planning for both National Indigenous Peoples' Day and National Truth of Reconciliation, as with the report you just received. And health and safety, occupational health and safety site inspections as part of a proactive inspection program start next week on June 17th. They're visiting a lot of the town sites and staff. And OHS is doing this in most municipalities in Alberta. We were not singled out for any one reason. Under projects, concrete repair is 95% complete in town. There's only one site left. As mentioned previously, the parking lot at Hilda Eben and the skating rink have been paved. The downtown core revitalization is almost complete. There's a bit of patchwork on the sidewalks on either end to be completed. Trees are being planted starting tomorrow, I believe it was. We are also looking at the tree closer to the corner. I'm going to say across from Citizens Park because I don't have the address in my head. We're going to look and see if there's a bit of money left in the budget to deal with that tree. It has caused some heaving in the sidewalk. So our project manager is dealing with that one. Under protective services, the fire department, they have been quite busy in the month of May and leading up to today, deployments to Boyle, Redwater, Swan Hills, and we currently have crews doing structure protection in Martin Beach. We had up to 7 municipalities in the province here assisting with that. We're downsized to 3 different municipalities, or they are, I should say, downsized, and still watching the fire north of Martin Beach. As of June 4th, the department had responded to 267 calls, which is down slightly from that same time last year. The May calls for 2025 was 70 total, which is the same as 24 and down slightly. The most in 2023 was 81. So they're tracking for similar calls as the last couple of years. Enforcement services, there was 20 complaints received in the month of May. A lot of them focused around found dogs and stray dogs and missing dogs. The bylaw officer has been kept very busy with that, as well as patrolling school zones and parks and all things that he can patrol. He's also dealing with some training on a new ticketing system that's just being updated for his patrol vehicle. Operations, under utilities, asbestos removal is taking place in the planned workshop at the water plant. That should be finished up today or tomorrow. They're very busy with locates coming in. Some of those are centered around the Fournier Place construction. Now that there's companies starting to work in there, we're kept busy with locates. Public Works, cold pour crack filling should be completed by the end of last week, early this week. The grading of gravel roads started this week, and line painting is next on the agenda, weather permitting, and we are expecting some moisture going on the weekend, so that might be pushed back by a day or two. Community services, so under the Northern Lakes Aquatic Center, there was a swim meet took place on May 24th, sorry, with 180 swimmers and some great results from our local athletes. FCS, Family Fun Night bike rally was held on May 26th with 46 individuals and 14, apologize for the spelling error there, that came out to the event. Parks and facilities, there was the Kinets put the planters up on Main Street, which has all been completed now. The coordinating of the ice removal, so it is going to start a week earlier than it originally planned. There was a meeting with the staff today, and a letter went out to all of the ice users letting them know of the changes and the earlier shutdown, so that we can be ready for the first hockey camp on July 21st. The ice will be back in and ready to go. So just a bit of work with the contractors, why we had to shut down early. The Legacy Center had 6 bookings. I believe that was supposed to say May. As well, the community services team with all their staff got together and held a watch party. Some citizens had reached out to us on that on Friday, and then again last night another watch party was held with a special guest, Marty McSorley, who came to town. I believe the first one was around 150 people, the second one was around 125, so well attended. Lots of good comments from the community members. The upcoming events, there's a pickleball tournament to be held on June 21st and 22nd at the MRC, and the Morad Group basketball tournament at the Morad Courts at Hilda Eben Park. And there'll also be an unveiling of the Morad Courts sponsorship at the same time taking place. Finance, the big one is taxes are due on Monday, June 30th. We are out actively advertising that on our social medias, and we'll be putting that in the paper. And on the final day, Monday, June 30th, the office will open from 8 to 5 PM, including the lunch hour to accommodate any last minute payments that may come in person. Any questions?
Counselor Adams?
Just back to page 4 there on the fire department.
Yep.
So I just wanted to ask more on those medical co-response that's taking up 18 of the calls in the month.
Yep.
What's an example of that? So
So,
he understands.
so a medical call could be anything from somebody who fell off a roof, somebody who may have hurt themselves shoveling snow, an overdose in the community. This is also region-wide, so this is 4 stations responding to medical calls. It's not broken down by how many. All of our stations do respond to medical calls. Normally, in all of our stations, 1 truck responds with, depending on the region, 4 to 6 firefighters. They will do, so there's 2 reasons we respond. It's a big event, so cardiac arrest needs lots of hands, or a time delay on the on the AHS, which is usually more typical for the rural stations because they're not central to an AHS location. And they will provide support. So we have trained first responders, we have EMTs, we have paramedics, and they will provide a level of service until AHS takes over care and is able to transport to the hospital. Most medical calls last between 25 to 50 minutes, depending on the location of AHS.
And these are those ones that we're not compensated for. Right?
Incorrect.
Or is that the?
As of last year, we were always able to access some small funds from AHS, usually in the $5,000 to $7,000 mark for equipment training. As of last year, they started a new fund. Last year, received $28,000 from AHS, along with the $7,000 for equipment. This year, the funding has just come out. We'll probably receive close to $30,000 again. We average about 150 max medical calls. It works out to, $60 to $80 a call, depending on how much money. But they are funding a bit more of it now, realizing that the service that we are providing does have to come with a cost. I would like to remind you that we train to this level for our fire. The fire department trains to that level for their firefighters for when they're on calls. So this is a service that we're able to provide to the citizens because we already do it. And as far as like funding the fire department, we have a set rate for the volunteers. So whether they go to 500 calls or 50, that rate doesn't change. So we're already doing the training. We already have the equipment. We already have all of this stuff. It doesn't really add anything. It's just another stat on paper in the big scheme of things. So it does take time. It does take us away from other things, but it's something we're already doing already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my main question is revolving over more around responsibility. And I don't want somebody whose responsibility it is to lower that,
For sure.
that care level just because we have the ability to also support and then we become the primary.
Yeah, I
But
would
if that's
strongly.
not the situation.
I would strongly suggest that AHS is not asking us to do this because they don't want to. It's more of a need in the community to support them.
They're underfunded and understaffed.
They have limited manpower and
Exactly.
stretched
That's
very
my
thin.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're
Okay,
there to
so then
support them.
the line below that, you got mutual aid. What is it?
Should be mutual. That's
Okay.
Boyle, Red Earth.
Oh, okay.
The assistance to other areas of the province or Big Lakes County, that kind of stuff. It's probably said that same word for about 8 months and you're the first person to catch it, so.
Counselor Hughes?
I would like to add, in speaking with community services on the watch parties, the plan is to have a watch party for the remainder of the games. Bearing anything that should happen at the Legacy Center, the plan is in motion to make those happen.
Great.
For the rest of the hockey.
I was actually going to ask that as one of my questions. But I do have another one for you, Alex, also on that same page. For the fire department staffing levels, it says 108 total members. Just refresh my memory. Is that a good amount for what we need, or are we still really short on volunteers in the area?
It's comfortable.
It's comfortable. Okay.
Now that being said, about 27 of those are search and rescue members, so they're not active firefighters.
Okay.
And keeping in mind that if you look at the top line, it says average per call out is 7.
Yeah.
Now that mainly focuses around Slave Lake where we have the larger numbers. The rural halls don't get as many calls, but they tend to have more responders just because that's what they do. But in 51 members in Slave Lake, averaging 6 or 7 is not great. We do get more for the bigger calls, but work and life and everything else is playing into how often they can respond and when they can respond.
Okay. Yeah, I was also looking at that number and just thinking about some of our incentives for the volunteers to step up as well and kind of wondering, trying to gauge, whether that was maybe working or making a difference or not. So,
It's not hurting, but offering a small tax incentive or a small remuneration isn't dragging people out of their other busy lives to come to those
Yeah.
fire calls.
mhm.
So it's a hard balance, and it's a nationwide problem to find volunteers.
Yeah.
For the fire service right now.
Yeah, certainly. And I just had one other comment. I just wanted to just say thank you to the town of Slave Lake staff, the contractor, everyone who's been working on the downtown project. I do feel this last stretch went very quickly and it seemed to be done very well, very efficient. And I've had several comments from residents saying the same. So I just wanted to pass along a thanks and kind of a good job well done. And, I do actually hope that future council kind of finish to the end of that block. And I look forward to thriving downtown and seeing that project fully realized one day.
I will
Thank
pass
you.
it on.
And north as well.
Okay, yeah, that too.
Any further questions? Oh, Counselor Choba has hand first.
Motion to accept CEO update as information.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. We'll move forward into the management task list. Counselor Hughes.
I just noticed that the one action item of the legal service review does have today's date on it.
So I'll quickly comment on that. I missed Roland before he walked out. It is being worked on.
Okay,
I just don't have the exact date. I apologize. I've been between the fire hall and the town. We will
Okay.
get it updated, but it is being worked on.
perfect. Okay, so
So we will
a
have-
future meeting soon here.
Should be done this month.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further? Anything missing? Counselor Hughes.
Motion to accept the task list as presented.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Anything for question period? As I see none, we will move into our committee minutes. Up first is watershed.
Thank you. The LSWC's AGM will be held on Thursday, June 19, 2025 in High Prairie, starting at 5 p.m. Join us to celebrate the accomplishments of the past year. Enjoy dinner and networking and a wonderful keynote presentation from a research director at Nate Boreal, who will be sharing some of his wetland restoration research work happening right around Slave Lake. The public is asked to register by June 13th at the lswc.ca website. The government of Alberta is moving forward with engagement on proposed amendments to Alberta's Water Act. The first round of engagements wrapped up in January and the second round is underway. We're seeking feedback on proposed amendments to the Act. The LSWC has funding available for 2 agricultural acreage and lakefront property owners who want to implement best management practices that align with the program goals. The LSWC will be getting out out of Lesser Slave Lake next week to collect samples via boat. This will be one of the 3 sampling events on the lake during open water. In July and August, the LSWC staff will be collecting sweep samples at 6 marinas on Lesser Slave Lake and 2 on Fawcett Lake. In partnership with AEPA, samples will be checked for invasive mussels and spiny water flea. The LSWC is a proud supporter of the Fish in School program with Mr. David Barr's grade 4 class in Slave Lake. In addition to sponsoring the equipment to get started, the LSWC covers the bus cost to get this class to the McLennan Trout Pond to release the rainbow trout that they have raised from eggs over the school year. The LSWC is hosting a kid can catch at Winagami Lake, so a handful, on June 12th, 2025. This is Alberta's free fishing weekend, so we hope to encourage families to get out and try angling without having to purchase licenses and equipment. Join us at the boat launch from 11 to 3 for free barbecue, games, and swag. And that is it.
Housing is next. So we did our regular policy approval and review regarding respite care, temporary rental of rooms to visitors, visitors' meals, motorized equipment. And then we started on the communication policy, which includes both public and electronic communications. This was tabled to the next meeting surrounding adding a new social media policy with regards to employees of the Housing Authority. We also continued work on reviewing the business plan for submission to the provincial government. A little bit of information on our wait list. The wait list have increased from March to April from 64 overall to 69. There was no increase with regards to social housing and Heritage Village, but there was an increase in senior self-contained wait list going from 20 to 25, even after the move-outs that happened during the month for those needing a higher level of care. With regards to the social housing, 9 units are going to be used to remove some people from the wait list as they were currently under sewer renovation, which is, I feel like a broken record, saying they're going to keep moving in month after month, but it is finally completed and the official move-in date was the end of May 31st. So we should see a reduction in our social housing, our wait list there. And then we also received updates regarding the Métis Local Project proposal. So there's continuing discussions with the consultant, looking at creating a business plan for creating 10 mixed market units and 10 social housing units, partnering with the Métis Local in our region. And then we also reviewed the appraisals for the homes that were acquired in Smith. Tri-Council Health.
We celebrated Rural Health Week, the week of May 26th. And so the Tri-Council Health Committee held a barbecue in appreciation of all of our healthcare workers at the hospital, the EMS as well. We had a barbecue there with the fire truck barbecue. It was a big hit. We had about 150 to 200, somewhere in there, maybe right in the middle, they were estimating, that we served. So that was really well attended. We also did thank you cards that we kind of hand wrote on the committee as well that were passed out to all the workers, just as a, genuine show of our appreciation for everything that they do. Myself and Councillor Ochoa are on the welcoming committee for any new doctors, RNs, any healthcare workers in the area. So we did welcome a new nurse here a couple weeks ago. And then Councillor Ochoa welcomed a Dr. Raj just this last Saturday as well. So I'd like to welcome them to the community. Last month at the clinic, there was 2,550 people that were seen, 249 telehealth appointments. The total averaging wait time at this point is 6.5 days with a 17-day maximum depending. Currently, there are 10,214 patients. And we have a survey out right now for our Tri-Council Health Committee. We have posted it a couple times on the Town of Slave Lake's Facebook page. We are looking for residents to log onto the survey very quickly. It's very brief, but it's a great opportunity for you to provide any feedback on healthcare services right now. Primary Care Alberta is asking us to give them some sort of a guidance on where healthcare lies within Slave Lake area. So we really want to see an uptick on people actually filling out the survey so that we can pass that along and make some strides there. So feel free to include that in the paper, Joe. And I just want to shout that out everywhere that it'll be done here at the end of the month, but we really love everyone's feedback.
And then tourism is next.
Yes, so tourism, we had our first regional meeting on May 22nd. It was very exciting. It was a great first meeting. We had 4 out of 6 of our municipalities, First Nations present for our first meeting. So the regional group as is right now is comprised of Big Lake County, Sucker Creek, Town of High Prairie, Sowers First Nation, Town of Slave Lake, and MD 124. The MD of Opportunity has also expressed interest, and we are hoping that they will be joining us officially very shortly. We have begun a bylaw review since that meeting just to update our bylaws to reflect this new regional group. We are working on spending our grant funding that we did receive right now as well. So first items to be checked off are a new group name that better reflects our new regional boundary, a new logo, mission, vision statement, etc. And then we will be shifting into marketing efforts to get exposure for our current tourism operators and continue to grow from there, obviously in partnership with Travel Alberta and under their guidance also. And we continue to work on adding tourism businesses within our region to the ATIS information system, which is on Travel Alberta. It lets potential visitors know what we have in the area, what they can do here. And we continue to also work on plans for Beach Fest, but it is important to note that the Beach Fest specific event is now run by a local committee of just volunteers and is not actually put on by the new broader regional group. So our mandate is not to just host an event. So we have shifted Beach Fest out of being the Slave Lake Region Tourism Society with this new regional approach. So just wanted to highlight that as well.
Okay. And library.
A couple highlights. We had 226 people attend the various programs in May in the Slave Lake Library. As far as tracking the incidents that happened, we've had 13 incidents at the library this time, but only one involving police, which is an improvement. The new tablets and mounts have been installed for the kids in the library. We also had 5 staff and 1 board member attend the PLS symposium on May 30th. I still have not heard the results of that one, but it's usually pretty good. The manager underwent a 360-degree performance review, which we only do every, I think it's 5 years. So that has come into play and was very successful and well received. We'll also be receiving an art exhibit, Reconciliation, towards the end of June. I'm told this is supposed to be a good one, given that it is Indigenous Heritage Month. So please check it out. It's worth going to. That's it. Thank you.
Airport.
Okay, so for the airport, we met last week. Our budget for 2025 is on track so far for this year. We will continue to be working on the design details and environmental requirements for our shoreline project. That has been an ongoing project that the airport has been overseeing, and we did receive some grant funds to cover majority of the cost for this project. There were trees that were trimmed next to the Sawridge Administrative Office so that we can be Transport Canada compliant. There's been a lot of activity over at the airport for the month of May and onward, mostly obviously due to the active wildfire season that we're currently experiencing. And the Airport Commission will be hosting a fly-in event here at the Slave Lake Airport on August 16th. It is an open event for the community. I hear there will be a 1940s warplane present, as well as any number of interesting aircraft will be there for people to come view. There will be food trucks, live music, etc. Just a great kind of family day to celebrate the anniversary of the airport.
MPC.
We approved a front yard setback for a modular home in the Northwest and a CCAN for renovations at Subway.
Counselor Adams.
Motion to accept the committee minutes as information.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried. We'll move forward to correspondence. There is a letter regarding Lemonade Day, which we do annually in the package, and a request for a proclamation to make June 14th, 2025 Lemonade Day, which we will require a motion for if council agrees to it. Councillor Hughes, that are first.
I move that we declare June 14th, 2025 Lemonade Day.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, call to question those in favor. That is carried. So now I must read the very lengthy proclamation. Whereas Lemonade Day is a free community-wide educational event providing children with the opportunity to learn and apply entrepreneurial thinking and create a foundation for success in the global economy. And whereas Lemonade Day exists to infuse today's youth with the spirit of enterprise, teaching the basics of business and entrepreneurial skills necessary to become a successful contributing member of the communities. And whereas Lemonade Day has a core philosophy of spend, save, and share that is implemented by teaching children how to start, own, and operate a business, learn goal setting, develop a business plan, establish a budget, seek investors, provide customer service, and give back to the community. And whereas Lemonade Day offers opportunities for families, businesses, schools, youth organizations, neighborhoods, institutes of higher learning, and government agencies to unite for a common purpose to train the next generation of entrepreneurs. And whereas Lemonade Day is a day of learning and celebrating Northern Alberta's future. On June 14th, every citizen has a job, either buying or helping children sell lemonade. And therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of our council, I do proclaim June 14th, 2025 to be Lemonade Day in the town of Slave Lake and encourage every citizen to purchase a cup of lemonade from one of the youths participating in the program to demonstrate how our community cares for the future of our youth.
Good job.
It's a very extensive proclamation. So we'll move into State of the Lake from there. And as a reminder, June 14th, which is this Saturday, is Lemonade Day at 9 a.m. So there will be a variety of stands around town. The Community Futures Facebook page generally lists all of these and advertises it as well. The town generally puts a shout out on there as well. So you'll see that on the 14th. I'll continue on with my State of the Lake portion. You may have seen it on social media. If not, we will offer our official congratulations to our new CAO, Alex, who has graciously accepted the role. So he's official now. Thank you. And then for Fire Chief, Mike Bissell has been appointed our Fire Chief. As well, Ryan Coots has been appointed the Deputy Fire Chief. So welcome to everyone in their new leadership roles. And I know, speaking for myself, we're thrilled to have all of these gentlemen in those positions and the leadership that they bring to our community. I will also, one more thing from me. Last week, we attended the official opening of the Brian Roche EMS facility. We're very proud to have this facility in our community. There were speeches from the Parliamentary Secretary of Rural Health North, which is MLA Ron Wiebe. MLA Sinclair was here as well as AHS and provincial and EMS representatives. So it was fantastic to get a tour of the facility and take a look. It is really world class, and I think it is fantastic to have a permanent home for EMS that is going to meet all their needs for training. And there was a lot of commentary about it being EMS and all emergency services being a family and having a facility like this being important because families need a home. So it was fantastic to see that. And with that, does anyone else have for State of the Lake? Councillor Achoba.
I'd like to take this moment to wish Councillor Hughes a very happy birthday. Councillor, you bring a great deal of heart, insight, and dedication to our team. And I think I speak for all of us when we say that you're truly appreciated, and we hope you have a joyful day and a fantastic year ahead. Happy birthday.
Anyone else have anything for State of the Lake? We won't sing happy birthday. We won't do that. No. Okay. Councillor Hughes, I'll give that motion to you.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried.